About to go long on NASDAQ here. Looking for higher prices. This is during the 750-810 macro. I had previously went short for the, what was it, the 758, no, I'm sorry, the 650-710 macro. And I was looking for price to dig below midnight opening price and that 26,806 low. And we hit the low and then we rejected. So I closed out of the position early, realizing that I was gonna be offsides. We had formed smooth highs between 637 and what was that, 715, and we also had buy side at the 636 AM high, as well as we had London relative equal highs that it looked really clean, and when I realized that I was offsides, I was like, all right, price is gonna attack this. So I realized that like my ass was gonna be handed to me. So I exited the trade pretty much at break even. I might have made like $30 on that trade, but the whole point was just to get out and reposition myself for institutional order flow in its favor. So we dipped down below midnight opening price. We tapped that 26,806 level, and we get a fair value gap as well as a breaker. So that's a nice unicorn setup. And I added a second position. I pyramided in as price traded towards that BISI, and below that BISI we actually had a suspension block, but I didn't notice it until after the trade, until I was looking at when I was taking a screenshot. I was like, oh, we actually have a suspension block here on top of that breaker. So we have stacked PD arrays here, which I really like. Price is respecting them. So price trades into that bullish BISI, and I decided to enter a second contract. We're trading above the first minor buy side liquidity at 26,835.75, and I'm looking for price to really now spool towards that 26,849.75 level. We have two bearish fair value gaps below that as well. So I want to see how price reacts. But so far, price is looking good. This is on my Take Profit Trader eval. On this specific eval, I like to be really aggressive. I have my Lucid evals. I have 3 funded on those. I'm working to get a 4th funded. Those I'm taking a little bit more. I'm aggressive, as in I'm trading them, but I'm taking those a little bit slower. The Take Profit Trader is my, all right, let's go aggressive. Let's go aggressive on this trade. That's kind of what I use this eval as. It also, what I've noticed, it helps me. If you're going to be trading evals, I think it's fair to have majority of the evals that you're trading be conservative, and you have maybe a couple of them that you're being a little bit more aggressive on. I think that also like kind of scratches that itch, to pyramid into your position, to practice those things. Again, I think when you really want to, if your head's not in the right space and you really want to practice, paper trading is by far the smartest thing to do. But if you have an eval that you necessarily are a little bit more aggressive on, where you won't be too hard on yourself if you fail it within a week or a couple days, and if that kind of like scratches that itch for you, then I think that's fair, as long as you're keeping majority of your evals a little bit more on the conservative side, managing your risk correctly. On this one, I like to be a little bit more aggressive. It makes it fun for me too. It just makes it a little bit more fun. If I do pass this eval, I love this displacement right here, by the way. Right in the heart of that macro, which is what I want to see. Yeah, it makes it a little bit more fun. And, at some point, I plan to, trade like this. It's kind of like it gives me a reminder that, like, hey, like you are getting better, and one day you're going to be able to do this like on the regular, or more frequent than you are currently. So, all right, annotating a inversion fair value gap that I want to have price treat as support, and we're about to smash our first partial here. I remove risk completely. And our first partial is secured. And I have my stop placed. I don't have it annotated there, but there's another, I believe that's a fair value gap. I have it just below it. I'm just annotating that my terminus is those relative equal highs. That's my draw on liquidity. It's pretty cool waking up and, not waking up, but taking that first initial trade for the 650, 710 macro and realizing like, oh shit, it's going to move against me, and getting out. Like, I would have not done that before, like 6 months ago, like I would have stayed in that trade and got absolutely demolished. So that's progress. Love to see that. And that's all she wrote.